So it's kind of a package. It's planning and zoning. You have to have planning before you can have zoning. In fact, legally, in order for zoning ordinances for a community to stand up in court, you have to have adequate planning, which means that the community has to have demonstrated that thought and planning has gone into their land use choices. So zoning is basically regulating land uses. So it determines whether you can convert a single-family residential structure into a commercial structure, or build a new institution like a university or a hospital in a certain district within the community.
Our growth management and land use plan, which is the document that we rely upon when we're evaluating development cases, was adopted in 2001 and was known as Vision 2020. Well, looking out to the year 2020, we're almost there. And our subdivision regulations date back to the 1950s. Yeah, so they're very old. The zoning ordinance dates back to the mid-90s. The zoning ordinance and the subdivision regulations are codes, and those are law. Those are local law. Obviously, they've been amended, throughout the years, but we've not taken a comprehensive look at them now for 20 years. So both of those all three of those documents need a look.
Right now, the city of Springfield is going through some transitions. We are going from a expanding area as far as getting more property or annexing property into the city to a redevelopment phase. And our redevelopment phase is looking back at older development and trying to redevelop those parcels or pieces of property. And so our code is kind of antiquated right now. Like I said, we're looking into a redevelopment phase, and our code is not really set up to meet that.
Trying to quote or see how a proposed land use fits in with a very old document that was developed long before the recession, it just doesn't work. So we've run into issues with that, and it's just time to update it. But that's probably the biggest issue right now.
For us, it's frustrating from the staff standpoint because we want to do more and do a better job, but our codes being as antiquated as they are, kind of holding back our ability to make things more positive direction. So if we had a code and that would be more accommodating for both the citizens and the development community and us as well, it would be it's a win-win situation for everybody.
It's expensive to update your zoning codes and time consuming. The city has approved a budget to update the growth management and land use portion of that plan. Is not going to be a complete plan update, but it will tackle the major issues that we deal with when it comes to planning and zoning.
Our code is set up so that it really looks at separating land uses. But what we know, or what we think we know from talking to people and from looking at communities that are admired, is that people like walkable neighborhoods. They like being able to walk to get a cup of coffee, or have a meal, or be able to walk to even their office or bike to their office. We don't have a lot of opportunities like that in Springfield, and part of that's because our plans and our codes don't really encourage that. They encourage a separation of uses. And so that's a concept that I think is going to be really important for us to explore in the land use plan. And that's probably an 18-month to 2-year project, because we want to have significant community involvement in really talking about what kind of community do we want. When we undertook the comprehensive planning process back in the 90s, in the Vision 2020, it was a huge process, and we looked at a number of things. And the great thing about it was that they dreamed big, and out of that dream came things like Jordan Valley Park, and really the impetus and the emphasis on downtown redevelopment. So we're not going to be undertaking anything nearly as big as that, but the growth management land use plan is really an opportunity for people to talk about what they want this community to be like.